All right, are you ready to dive into this Arsenal-Manchester United match? Let's go beyond the headlines and really get into the data for this one.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because this match, it might seem straightforward at first glance. You know, Arsenal sitting pretty in second and Manchester United trailing behind in ninth.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
It is, yeah. It really highlights the gap in their consistency and, their overall performance this season.
Okay, so let's break it down, huh? Arsenal, they're looking pretty strong right now, yeah. 4 wins, 2 draws in their last 6 matches.
Right.
Manchester United, well, 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses in the same span. So a little bit more up and down.
Yeah, a bit more inconsistent, for sure.
Yeah.
And, while the wins and losses paint a picture, I think what's really interesting is how those results have actually come about.
Ooh.
Like, if we look at Arsenal, especially when they're playing at home, they've been controlling the game,
Right.
really dictating the pace with their style, that possession-based football.
Yeah.
They're averaging almost 60% possession in their home wins, which is, well, that's a tough nut to crack, when a team is controlling the ball like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But Manchester United, they've come from behind and pulled off some pretty surprising wins before. I mean, is there anything in the data that suggests they could do that again?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Everyone wants to know. If we take a closer look, Manchester United's away form is, well, it's a little shaky. Only 2 wins out of their last 5 away matches. And then when you really dig into the numbers, their defensive struggles become even more apparent when they're on the road.
Yeah.
Their expected goals against, which is a way to measure the quality of chances they're giving up, it's significantly higher when they're away from Old Trafford.
So even if Manchester United can create some chances against Arsenal, you're saying, their defense might not be strong enough to hold up.
Yeah, that's a big concern. And this is where the tactical side of things gets really interesting. Because you have Arsenal's central defenders, Gabriel and Saliba, they've been incredible, one of the strongest partnerships in the league.
They have been playing well together.
They're aggressive, winning most of their duels, and they're comfortable playing a high line, which lets Arsenal press high up the pitch.
But isn't playing a high line kind of risky? Couldn't a team like Manchester United, with all their speed on the counterattack, use that to their advantage?
Oh, absolutely. That's the gamble.
Yeah.
If Manchester United can break through Arsenal's initial press and find space behind those defenders, they definitely have the speed to make them pay.
Right.
Players like Rashford and Sancho are especially dangerous in those situations.
So it sounds like this match could come down to which team's tactics work better, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal with their control of the ball and high pressure, or Manchester United with their potential for those lightning-fast counterattacks.
Exactly. And that's what makes this matchup so interesting. Even though they're in different spots in the league table, it's a clash of styles, and the data suggests that even the smallest tactical advantage could make all the difference.
So we've talked about, the tactics a bit, but what do the numbers say about this matchup? Like, I'm seeing here that the data gives Arsenal a 55% chance of winning.
Right, yeah. The models take into account a whole bunch of factors, like everything from their past performance to individual player stats, and even things like, home advantage and how they've been playing recently.
Oh, okay. But Manchester United only has a 20% chance of winning. I mean, those aren't great odds, are they?
Well, no, not really. I mean, it reflects where things stand right now. Arsenal are definitely the favorites based on their form and all the data we've been talking about. But, football's a funny game. Those probabilities, they're really just a snapshot in time.
Right. Okay, so let's say you're Erik ten Hag, Manchester United's manager. How would you approach this match, knowing that statistically, things aren't really in your favor?
That's a good question. Ten Hag's known for being pretty flexible tactically, so he might actually be tempted to switch things up a bit, to try and counter what Arsenal are good at.
Okay, so what could that look like?
Well, he could go for a more conservative approach, really focus on being solid defensively and then try to hit Arsenal on the break. That would mean sitting back a bit, absorbing the pressure, and then relying on those quick transitions, to take advantage of any space. Arsenal leave behind their high defensive line.
That sounds like a pretty big change from their usual attacking style, though.
Yeah.
Could their players even adapt to that?
That's the risk you take, right? I mean, Manchester United have the individual talent to cause Arsenal problems on the counter, but it would take a lot of discipline and tactical awareness from everyone.
Right.
They'd need to stay compact as a unit, deny Arsenal space in midfield, and then be really clinical when they do get a chance.
Okay, now let's flip it around. Imagine you're Mikel Arteta, Arsenal's manager. Knowing that Manchester United might try to shut down your attack, What kind of adjustments would you be thinking about?
Well, Arteta's all about controlling the game, so I don't think he'd change his approach too drastically. But he might make some subtle tweaks just to keep his team from becoming predictable.
Like what kind of tweaks?
Maybe telling his midfielders to mix up their passing a bit. More short passes, some longer ones. Try to disrupt Manchester United's defensive shape.
Okay.
Or maybe emphasizing those quick switches of play, moving the ball from one side of the pitch to the other to exploit any weaknesses in the defense.
So even though Arsenal are the favorites on paper, there's still a tactical battle going on here.
Oh, absolutely. Both managers are going to be looking for any advantage they can get trying to find the other team's weaknesses and then adjusting their plans accordingly. It's that kind of constant adaptation and problem solving that makes football so interesting.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why you said this match is more complex than it looks at first glance. We've talked about the data, the tactics, but there's something else we need to factor in, right? The history between these two clubs.
Yeah, you can't really talk about an Arsenal-Manchester United match without talking about their history. I mean, this rivalry, it goes way back, decades of these incredible clashes, memorable moments, legendary players.
Okay, I'm ready for a history lesson.
Yeah.
What are some of the standout moments that come to mind for you?
Oh man, you could write a whole book about the battles between these two. But some that instantly come to mind are that 1999 FA Cup semi-final replay with Ryan Giggs' amazing solo goal. And then, of course, Arsenal's invincible season where they went undefeated the whole year. And then all those title races they were both involved in.
It sounds like every time they played each other was a must-watch event.
They often were. The atmosphere was always electric. You could feel the tension in the air. These matches weren't just about getting 3 points. They were about bragging rights, pride, and just continuing that legacy of fierce competition.
So how does all that history affect this upcoming match?
It adds another layer to it,
Yeah.
The current form and all the tactical stuff we talked about are important, but these players, they also carry the weight of that history with them. They understand what this fixture means to the fans, to the clubs, and to themselves.
So even though we've analyzed the stats and the tactics, the outcome could come down to something less tangible, like the emotional intensity of this rivalry.
Yeah. That's what's so great about football. You can break it down statistically, you can analyze the tactics, but there's always that element of unpredictability, that human element that can defy all logic and expectations.
Okay, so with all this history between these two clubs, do you think this match could have a bigger impact? I mean, on the Premier League as a whole?
Oh, definitely. A win for Arsenal. I mean, it would solidify their position, near the top of the table, and it could put some pressure on whoever's in first place. But a Manchester United win, well, it's not as likely, but it could totally shake things up. Kickstart their season and really get them back in that race for a top 4 finish.
I'm starting to see why you said this match is more complex than it seems. It's not just about these two teams. It affects, the whole landscape of the league.
Exactly. Every match matters in the Premier League, but some matches just have higher stakes. And this one, well, with these two rivals at this point in the season, with everything on the line, it's definitely a match you don't want to miss.
Okay, so we've talked about all the data, the tactics, the history, and what it could mean for the rest of the league. What's your final prediction? I mean, can Manchester United really overcome the odds, or will Arsenal just keep rolling?
Well, if I had to put money on it, I'd probably say Arsenal wins. They're in better form, playing at home, and their tactics seem like a good matchup against Manchester United's weaknesses.
But you're not completely ruling out an upset. Never rule out an upset. This is football. Anything can happen. Manchester United definitely has the talent to surprise everyone. And, the emotion of this rivalry could play a factor too.
That's what I love about football. Anything can happen on match day.
Exactly. We can analyze all we want, try to predict what will happen, but ultimately it's the players on the pitch who decide the outcome. And I'm really excited to see how it all plays out.
Me too. This has been a really awesome deep dive. We've gone way beyond just the surface level and broken down this match from every angle. I feel like I could manage a team now.
Oh, maybe not manage, but you're definitely well prepared to watch this match now.
Yeah.
You'll understand all those little details and what's really going on.
That's for sure. So to everyone listening out there, I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as I have. Remember, football is all about passion, skill, and those unexpected moments. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the match. And hey, maybe you can even impress your friends with some of the insights we've talked about today. Until next time, keep on diving deep.